Would you treat people the same if you didn't know their true identity? Before you answer, let's tell you the story of the rich man who dressed like a beggar. What he learned changed his life. Once upon a time, there was a rich man named John Harrison. He had everything: big houses, fancy cars, and more money than he could ever spend. People treated him with great respect. When he walked into a room, everyone greeted him with smiles. When he spoke, people listened. But one day, something made John wonder. Do people respect me because of my heart, or just because I have money? John had never lived a day without wealth. He had no idea what it felt like to be poor. So he decided to do something unusual. He would pretend to be a beggar. He wanted to see how people treated someone who had nothing. One day, John put on old, torn clothes. He covered his hair with a dirty cap. He rubbed dust on his hands and face so he would look like a real beggar. Then, early in the morning, he walked to a busy street in the city. He sat on the sidewalk, holding a small cup. "Please, can anyone spare some change?" he asked. People passed by, but no one looked at him. Some walked faster as if they didn't see him. Others frowned, like he was nothing but a problem. John felt invisible. Then, something worse happened. A businessman in a fine suit walked past. John recognized him. He was someone John had once helped in his company. Maybe he will help me, John thought. But the man only wrinkled his nose. He stepped far away, as if John smelled bad. A woman in high heels shook her head and whispered to her friend, "Lazy people like him should just get a job." John felt a sharp pain in his chest. These were people he knew, but because he looked poor, they didn't care. Then, a young man walked by, eating a sandwich. He took one look at John, laughed, and kicked his cup over. John stared as his few coins rolled into the street. The young man walked away, still laughing. John's hands tightened into fists. He had never been treated this way before. He wanted to shout, "I'm not really poor. You have no idea who I am." But he didn't. He just lowered his head and sighed. The people who showed kindness. Then, something unexpected happened. An old woman, carrying a heavy basket, stopped beside him. "Are you hungry?" she asked. John looked up, surprised. "Yes," he said. The woman reached into her basket and pulled out a small loaf of bread. "I don't have much," she said, "but you can share this with me." John took the bread, his heart feeling warm. A little later, a street vendor selling roasted corn saw John sitting there. He walked over and placed 2 pieces of corn beside him. "No one should go hungry," the vendor said. "Take this." John couldn't believe it. The rich ignored him. Some even laughed at him. But the people who had the least were the ones who gave the most. Then, a little boy with no shoes walked up to John. He didn't have food. He didn't have money. But he had something special. He smiled at John and sat beside him. He didn't say a word. He just sat there, sharing his warmth. And in that moment, John realized something. Kindness didn't come from money. It came from the heart. John had to make his biggest decision. After 1 week, John returned home. He cleaned up, put on his expensive suit, and went back to the city. But this time, he wasn't there to beg. He found the old woman who had shared her bread. He gave her enough money to live comfortably for the rest of her life. He found the street vendor who had given him corn. He bought him a big shop so he would never struggle again. And the little boy? John took him home, gave him a warm bed, good food, and the chance to go to school. John's heart had changed. For the first time in his life, he understood. It is not wealth that makes a person rich. It is kindness. How we treat others, especially those who can do nothing for us, shows who we truly are. If you saw a poor man on the street today, what would you do? Would you walk away or stop and help? Let us know in the comments.